Now, you may have heard the Finance Committee of Parliament has approved an amount of 1.2 billion cedis for government to access money from the Contingency Fund to finance the coronavirus alleviation program. The Finance Minister, Kenneth Oyata, on Wednesday presented to Parliament the policy document seeking approval to spend that money. So where do we go from here? Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Daniel Amartey, joins me on the line. Good afternoon to you, sir. Now that the Finance Minister has the headway, how do you expect the coronavirus alleviation program to be rolled out?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the move by the Finance Minister to spend 1.2 billion is in the right direction, taking into consideration the pandemic that is confronted the whole world and by extension Ghana. And looking at the breakdown, I think for now the areas where the monies will be spent on is quite okay in terms of the food, the buffer stock, water and sanitation, tax waiver for the health personnel, which is very important as a way of motivation, and also soft loans for businesses. To me, I think the areas are quite okay for now, but I have two critical issues with respect to the breakdown. Number one, the food packages and then the hot meals, about 280 million allocation. I think it's good. But the problem is that the Finance Minister must ensure that professionals are contracted to execute this particular agenda. We have a history where anytime we have an issue at hand or a policy to execute, we end up giving the contract to party faithfuls who may not have the capacity professionally to be able to meet the standard requirement for that particular policy. Because when we come to food, two critical issues are paramount. Number one, nutritional value and the quantity. So we need professionals who have the capacity to be able to deliver in terms of the quality, in terms of the quantity, and also the target citizens. If that is not done and the contract is given to party faithfuls, then at the end of the day, the intended target or objective will not be achieved, and that will not be too good to address the current challenge that we have. And
so that brings us to the issue of judicious use of funds and monitoring. So what kind of systems should be put in place?
Yeah, in my view, immediately the Finance Minister should put up a very professional committee, people with the know-how to ensure that the distribution of the funds and onward utilization of same will be supervised by this committee. I mean, maybe a 3-month committee made up of professionals, people with a background in terms of nutrition and then also social development and any other personnel with that capacity to supervise. We shouldn't been given to or left in the hands of party faithfuls because we have that history in terms of the school feeding. We have it where monies were given or contracts were given to party faithfuls, and at the end of the day, quality was not executed. So to me, as much as I support this initiative in terms of the allocation, my issue has to do with ensuring that the right people are given the contract to deliver, so that at the end of the day, we will achieve our target. So that money will not enter into pockets that are not supposed to receive such funding. Another issue to me, which is very important, I think is very good, has to do with soft loans for small businesses. By now, the Ministry of Finance should be able to gather data from AGI and then maybe GUTAC, so that we will identify small businesses that have the capacity to produce essential products and services for the citizens. There's another issue that the Ministry of Finance ought to look at, where by now you may have party faithfuls registering business in haste, or people who have businesses, dormant businesses, let me put it that way. Such monies will end up being allocated to them. We don't want to see that. We want the Ministry of Finance to identify real small businesses on the ground with the capacity to produce goods and services that will meet the aspirations of the citizens in this trying and challenging moment. If we are able to do that, then I'm of the view that this 1.2 billion allocation will really address the issue.
Okay, thank you so much for your thoughts. You had the Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Daniel Amartey.